Hello YouTube, RJ. Hey, today I want to talk about Trump's China tariffs. I want to talk about fake J310s. If you watched the last video, I kind of hit on it and started talking about these fake J310s I got. Somehow or another left out because the video went long, my solution and what I'm going to do about it. So we're going to talk about that and got something in. We're going to take a look at what we got in and what it is, what I'm going to use it for, and what's coming in the channel, where this will play in. Let's go ahead and get this open. Take a quick look at what I ordered in. It's a cast aluminum box. What this box is for is, in upcoming videos, I'm going to be building a analog VFO. And the best way to house an analog VFO, I think pretty well everybody would agree, is one of these aluminum cast boxes. It does a great job in not only RF protection, but more so also in temperature, because as you know, parts are temperature sensitive, and if you're going to try to make a VFO that doesn't drift, you need to keep air currents off of it. You need to keep the temperature nice and stable. And what you get into is, if you try to use a plastic box, you get no EMC shielding. You know, any RF can bleed in and out. On top of that, your temperature can get trapped in there and cause temperature to increase and stratify in the box and get different temperatures at different areas of the box and such. The nice thing of the cast boxes are they're thick enough that they slow the change of temperature quite a bit, but they let the heat get out evenly everywhere and tries to moderate the temperature somewhat. It lets the heat not build up and build up and build up and constantly cause changes. It quickly reaches a point where the inside gets to a certain temperature, it's bleeding out at a certain speed, and it helps kind of create more of a constant temperature in there. Sure, the air in the room is moving around and changing temperatures, but it takes time for that to happen inside the box. Time and time again, you know, the forefathers ahead of me in RF engineering figured out that, you know, this was a good way to go. So I wanted to get one to use for our VFO. And so the idea behind this VFO is simple. I don't have a targeted project for the VFO other than we know that we want to build radios. What I do have is a target of what I expect from the VFO. I want to try to build as stable a VFO as I can that gives me a good range of tuning, simple as can be. And so I'm going to take all of the best recommendations and try to put them together, and I'm going to tweak, and I'm going to try a couple of different circuits. You know, there's people that claim this is the best and this is the best. That's the idea. Try a couple of different circuits in the same kind of scenario. Use very good parts. I have some my stock of my real high quality, you know, COG capacitors and stuff's getting down there, so I just put an order in. I've got some parts coming in from Mauser, some high-end, you know, capacitors and stuff to use to try to get the temperature change down to a minimum. So anyway, that's what's coming. We're going to do that. Let me get this out of the way and we'll talk about some other things. Okay, let's talk about the J310. I told you I ordered in some J310s and they turned out to be fakes. They weren't even JFETs. They were just some like 2N222s or some standard PNP bipolar junction transistors. I threw them away. But here's what you didn't know. That's the third time I've tried to get a hold of some J310s and they've been fake every time. And so I'm done with this. I'm done with giving the Chinese money for fake transistors. They are available. You can get a hold of some J310s if you're willing to pay enough money. But right now we're talking few that are out there you can get are like $6 a piece, which none of us want to pay $6 a transistor, especially the way we use them and play around with them. What's the big deal about the J310? Well, if you are like me and you like to play with this stuff and you have all the old, you know, experimental methods in RF design and solid state designs and all the old goodies, oldies but goodies, you know, Wes Hayward and some of these, Bob Larkin and Rick Campbell, all these old timers that were the masters of the art. They put out some great books. They had a lot of great circuits in there to play with and experiment and kind of use as a basis and to learn. And I love it. And I use, you know, I'm always pulling these books out and looking at circuits and refreshing over things. And the one thing you're going to run into is a lot of the old great circuits, like this one right here, use J310s. They used a lot of J310s, you know, back in the 70s. And here's J310 right there. Oh, here's a couple J310s here. You getting the hint? Basically, if you want to play around with some of the old circuits, you need J310s. And of course, they haven't been made forever. Back when these guys were doing this, they were like 2N3904s. They were everywhere. They were cheap. They were cents. Nowadays, they're not. And so I'm down, only have a couple more left. And so I've decided I need to come up with some J310s, and I've been trying to find some, haven't had a lot of luck. I can go to Mouser and DigiKey right now and order some for $5.90 a piece or whatever. And that's too expensive for me to play around with. So what I've decided is we need a way to handle this. Well, surface mount J310 genuines are available. They're available in a SOT package, very small. If you're familiar with the SOT, very small package. They're available, they're inexpensive. And so what I've decided to do is I've decided to create a board, populate the board with surface mount, but put 0.1 pads on it and provide some 90-degree headers. So basically you solder this little header in and you end up with a little transistor, just a little bit bigger than, a TO92 package, that gives you 3 legs at 0.1 where it goes right on a proto board, or, all the places we prototype stuff with, whether it's a breadboard, whether it's, strip line boards, those kind of things we use when we prototype. It'll fit in those normal places so you can prototype and mess with them. And if you want to design a board for them and you don't want to mess around trying to put that little SOT on, you can do a through-hole board and just use these as transistors. And so I thought that would be a great thing. It's going to be a great thing for me. I decided, instead of spending $6 a transistor, what I'd do is just go ahead and spend a little more money, make some boards, panelize them up, maybe 100 on a board, populate them, silk screen them, populate them, do a V-score, have the manufacturer PCBWay V-score them and pop them apart. And that way I've got little transistors to work with. And of course, I'm going to have a bunch of them. So the idea is I'm just going to put them up in the store. I've got a store that's going to come up available when the kit for the easy shortwave receiver goes out. I'm going to go ahead and put them in there. I won't have them ready in time for that. Shortly after that, I'll have them up in the store. And if you need J310s or anybody needs J310s, this will be an option for you at a tiny fraction of what it would cost you to buy real ones. And those are going to be gone shortly. You're not even going to be able to have the option of this $6 transistor. So it's just an idea. I may just end up with a whole lot of J310s, and I can live with that, believe me. They're a great transistor, and I want to keep using them. Let me jump over the computer and show you what I'm talking about. Then we'll come back over, and then we'll talk about some tariffs and things that if you're going to be messing around with electronics and PCB boards and stuff like that right now, you probably need to get updated on. Let's jump over the computer. Okay, here we are. This is kind of what I've got in mind here, is to just build a very small little circuit board with just a J310 SOT package, and then provide headers, 90-degree headers like this, to basically build us a J310 JFET transistor using the little miniature SOT on a tiny board, barely bigger than a standard transistor, through-hole transistor, and give a 90-degree header that you basically solder in, and it gives you 1/10 of an inch pitch so that you can use it on proto boards, you can put it on your circuit boards, you can use it on perf boards. Basically, this thing would drop in anywhere that a standard TO97 package would fit. Barely bigger than a TO97. Now, I'd penalize this out to maybe say 100 of them, maybe a 10 by 10, and then give myself quite a few to work with and give me a bunch to put in the link store. And so anyone else needing some J310s, boom, Bob's your uncle. And, solve that problem of fake. We know these aren't fake. They're coming straight from Mouser. This will be reasonably inexpensive. We'll be able to get these for years to come. So they are, as I said, literally an incredible transistor. Very quiet, works very well up into the VHF, UHF frequencies. So really great transistor. Shame we can't get them in through-hole anymore. So let me jump back to the bench. Okay, back on the bench. Now it's time to talk about Trump's tariffs. I'm not going to be talking about the political end of it, whether they're right, they're wrong. I don't get it. I don't care anything about that. It's an electronics lab. A transistor does not care what administration's in power. What I want to talk about is the impacts. If you're like me and you're an electronics hobbyist, and that means that you order PCBs from China likely, and you get components from China, then these tariffs are already impacting you at this time. And so I wanted to know what the real deal is, and there's so much confusion. You go online, you go to PCBWay and you pull it up, and they've got a document that goes into all these categories, and if you're under this category, you'll be that category. It's very confusing. So I simply got on a chat with them and I said, guys, tell me what's going on here. Here I am ordering boards. They're very evasive about it. It's almost like they want you to think you likely are under some certain thing, and you might get a discount and you might not, and you may be exempt and you might not. And in the end, what I'm going to tell you is you and I are not going to be exempt from this stuff. The categories that they're talking about being exempt are things like buying metals and things like that, buying certain electronic components. But for the most part, that's semiconductor materials to build semiconductors. So at this point, it's become clear to me to expect to pay tariffs. And these tariffs are going to run probably 145%, you can pretty well expect on everything you order. Now, the key to it, from what I understand, is that when you order, the price is going to look, oh, that's not abnormal. It looks perfectly fine. And that's because the tariffs, the person creating the boards or the component or selling you the component or selling you the board, they're not charging you the tariff. You're not going to see it on there. What you're going to see is you're going to order it and pay for it. It's going to ship. And all of a sudden, you're going to get customs reaching out to you to inform you that you owe more than what the cost of the actual item was when you ordered it. 145% is a lot more than 100%. So you're looking at over double your cost by the time you end up getting it, because you're going to have to pay customs the tariff. If you don't want to deal with that and you want to order this stuff, then there are certain ways you can go through it. FedEx, I understand, has, I think it's called DDC. So if you order under FedEx DDC, I believe, I may be getting that wrong, but if you look, you'll find it. It's duties and customs prepaid duties and customs. And basically what happens is you order and the shipping includes the duties. But here's the thing you need to understand. On PCBWay, for sure, because I asked them, when you go through and you put it in your cart and you get the price to pay, the shipping will not show the customs yet. Only after they go through the approval process, they approve the board and it's time to pay for it, then all of a sudden you're going to see them duties show up. So just be aware of that. Make sure you understand that you don't know the price till after they've approved the board. Now you can still not pay for the board and bail out, but only after they go through the process where they review your board and they approve it to go to production and they want you to pay, then you'll see the change in the price. And only if you're using that certain FedEx. The other shippers are not going to show it at all. You're going to get called from customs and say, hey, bud, you owe this money if you want your stuff. So be aware of that. It is going to have an impact. Hopefully this will all flush through shortly. Hopefully China and America will get together and they'll talk it out, they'll work it out, and we'll come up with some more fair custom duties instead of the 145% we're looking at now. But we don't know. We don't know how long this will go on or where it'll end up. We just have to go along for the ride. But I did want to point some of this stuff out. And to be able to really understand better and make sure I can give you better information, I went ahead and put in an order for boards for these little transistors. And I couldn't do the little $5 boards because I needed them V-scored. They're so small, I need them to pop apart. So I had to have them V-scored, so I couldn't do the inexpensive $5 board, so I had to do the more expensive process. So I will get these in the next 2 weeks, and I will come back and do a video and talk about the order, talk about how long it took to get it compared to normal, and talk about how much additional money I had to pay to get this order in. It should only apply to the product, not shipping. So we should be looking at these tariffs only on the price of the board. So if you're ordering a $5 board, set of boards, might not be that horrible. You might be paying, say, $12 for the boards by the time it's over. But in my case, it's going to be the boards at, I want to say, about $66. So I could be looking at $100-something for the boards. I had some other options, but I really wanted to see what the tariffs would really work out and how it would work, how long it would take to get here. So I could tell you guys and say, here's what to expect if you order. We'll see where we end up. I'll make sure I do a video to show that. So hopefully this information is helpful. Hopefully it'll help you make better decisions as you're getting ready to order circuit boards. Anyway, hey, thanks for hanging out. Let me catch you up on a few things, and I hope you learned something. And I hope you come back for the next video.